Hello class, we're about to start the review for exam 2, chapters 5 through 7. We have problem number 1. Determine the slope and y-intercept. Use the slope and y-intercept to graph the equation by hand. Now before I even get started with drawing these lines and graphs and everything, I'm just letting you know up front, my graph is going to look terrible because I'm drawing freehand and I don't have a ruler, so you all have rulers and everything where your graph would look a lot better than mine. So we will make sure that we get the slope and the y-intercept and then go from there. Now the easiest way to do this with we had 3x minus 2y equals negative 6. I would say rewrite this in slope-intercept form. And we know slope-intercept form is y equals mx plus b. Now this is the form that you should write it in. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to scroll up a little bit because I'm not using any of this area here for the actual problem. So I'm going to write the problem here, 3x minus 2y equals negative 6. Now our objective is to get y by itself. So we will subtract 3x on both sides. And we will have negative 2y is equal to negative 3x minus 6. Now we divide each individual term by negative 2. And then y would be a positive 3/2 x plus 3. Now, this is slope-intercept form. Does anyone have any questions? Okay, now, with our slope-intercept form here, we have our slope. Our slope is 3/2. And then our y-intercept, our b, is 3, but we write it as an ordered pair as well as 0, 3. So now that we have our slope and we have our y-intercept, we already have a point for the graph, which is 0, 3. So we'll go to the graph here. We'll go to 0, 3 and plot a point here. Now one other thing just to remind you, you know sometimes these points will disappear, but you all see me putting the point here. So this is 0, 3. So now we would take the slope. We will have our rise of 3 and our run of 2. So we'll go to 0, 3, and then we will rise 3, 1, 2, 3, and then we will run 2 to the right, which would be here. Now we'll do that one more time, rise 3, 1, 2, 3, and then go 2 to the right, which is here. Now we can connect these points and draw our arrowheads at the end. So this is the representation of the graph. Now, of course, your line is going to be a lot straighter than that. All right, now, we go here to B. Now, B, again, I'm going to go up here to get this, get y by itself. So we will have 2x plus 5y minus 20 is equal to 0. Now, what would be easier to do here is to subtract 5y on both sides. So now, we will have 2x minus 20 is equal to a negative 5y. Now, we will divide each individual term by negative 5. So this will give us negative 2/5 x plus 4 is equal to y. Now, of course, we know this is the same as y equals mx plus b, but the y is at the end. So we know here that our slope is a negative 2/5, and our y-intercept is 4, or we could write it as the ordered pair 0, 4. So now we go here to graph this. Now, we look here, we will go to 0, 4, which is here. Now, we have a negative 2/5. Now, we have our rise being negative 2, so that means we go down 2. Our run would be 5, which would be 3, 4, 5, which would be here. So now we have our 2 points. Now, we can go down again. We can go down 2, and then to the right 5. And then now we will connect these points. And then we're done. Of course, yours will be straighter and hit every point. So this is it for A and B. Now we go here to C. It says graph the line 3 times x minus 4 equals negative 2 times y plus 5 plus 4 by hand. Now we would basically do this the same way that we did the other problems, except for we would have to do the distributive property first. So here we would end up with 3x minus 12, because we would take 3 times x and 3 times negative 4. And that would equal to negative 2 times y is a negative 2y. And negative 2 times 5 would give us a minus 10 plus 4. Now we will combine any like terms. We add 3x minus 12 equals negative 2y minus 6, because negative 10 and 4 will give us a negative 6. Now, we will add 6 to both sides. So we will add 3x minus 6 is equal to a negative 2y. Now we have to divide each individual term by a negative 2. And then we will have negative 3 halves x plus 3 is equal to y. And this is in slope-intercept form. So now we could graph it. We know our slope here is negative 3 halves. And our y-intercept is 3, or we could write the ordered pair as 0, 3. So we will go to 0, 3, which is here. And our rise is a negative 3, so you know we go down 3, and our run is 2. Our rise is negative 3, so we could go down 3, and then our run is 2. And then we will connect these points. And don't forget to put the arrowheads at the end. And you're done. Now we look at number 3. Bless you. It says find the x and y intercepts for the graph of 5x minus 3y plus 2 equals 0. Now, the first thing we have to determine is this here. You must know the characteristics of the x and y intercept in order to be able to solve for it. The first thing is this here. If you're solving for the x-intercept, that means that every value of y must be 0. And then we would just solve for x. So let's do the x-intercept first. So I'm going to write the problem. So then we will make all y values equal 0. And I made a mistake in putting this x in parentheses. You don't have to do that. That was just an error. But this 0 in parentheses you should do. So we will have 5x. Negative 3 times 0 is 0. So we could bring down a plus 2 equals 0. Now we want to solve for x. Subtract 2 on both sides. And 5x equals negative 2. Divide each side by 5. And x is a negative 2/5. Now we will write this as an ordered pair. The ordered pair would be negative 2/5, comma 0. So that would be your x-intercept. Now we go here to the y-intercept. We take the same equation, but this time with the y-intercept, x, all x's must be 0. So we would take 5x minus 3y plus 2 equals 0, and we would substitute in 0 for x. So then we would end up with negative 3y plus 2 equals 0. So we would subtract 2 on both sides because we're trying to get y by itself. And we add negative 3y equals negative 2. Divide each side by negative 3. And y is equal to a positive 2/3. Now we will write this as an ordered pair. It'll be 0, comma 2/3. So when you write your final answers, like on your exam, I'm looking for these ordered pairs in addition to your work. So this is the x-intercept, this is the y-intercept. Okay, now, are there any questions from page 1 of the review? Okay, we go to page 2. It says determine whether the following relations are functions. If not, explain. Now, to be honest, I'm not going to look for necessarily an explanation when you all take your exam. I'm going to assume that you know it because the explanations are very simplistic. Okay, in order to determine if this is a function or not when you're dealing with ordered pairs, you just look at the x values. If any x's repeat, then it's not a function. But if all of them are different, it is a function. All x's are different, so it's a function. Now we look here at this table here. If you notice here, all of the x values are different, it's a function. Now let me take time out here in addition with b. If you notice here, you have repeating y's here. Your y's repeating does not matter when it comes to whether or not it's a function. Does everyone follow that? All right. Okay, now look at C. If you notice here, we have all points here. Now to determine if this is a function or not, we look and see if there are points that have the same x value. If you look here, we have 2 points here that have the same x value. Does everyone follow that? So then this is not a function. Now we look here. We have our input and output. All you have to do is look at your input and see if you have 2 arrows going from one of your inputs. You do not have 2 arrows going from one of your inputs, so it's a function. Now we go here to E. Now if you look here at E, we talked about the vertical line test. If you draw a vertical line anywhere on this graph, would it hit this graph more than one place? It would. If you drew a vertical line here, it'll hit it more than one place. So this is not a function. Now if you look here at F, no matter where you draw a vertical line here, it's only going to hit the graph one time each time, so it is a function. Now we come down here to G. When your x and y are both taken to the first power, then automatically you should know that it's a function. Okay, now, if your x is squared, but your y is just to the first power, it's still a function. Now with I, you notice that x and y are both taken to the first power, so it's still a function. Okay, now, when your y is squared and your x is taken to the first power, it's not a function. And this is what I'll do. I'll explain that to you. Let's just say we had this chart here. And let's disregard this 3 and disregard this 2. Let's just have x equals y squared to make this a simplistic definition of it. Okay, if y is 2 and y is negative 2, if y is 2 here, wouldn't that be 4? Wouldn't x equal 4? And if y is negative 2, substitute in for y, wouldn't that also be 4? So our x's will repeat. So whenever you see y being squared, x taken to the first power, is automatically not a function. And now you know why. Okay, now, we scroll here to page 279, which is the third page. It says, find the domain and range of the following relationships. Remember, the domain is your x values, and the range is your y values. So the domain here, we typically list this in numerical order, so it'd be negative 3, 1, 2, and 3. And your range is your y values, so we'll have negative 2, negative 1, 1, and 3. Because we try and list them in order from smallest to greatest. Now we look here. We would do our domain and range. The domain here would be negative 3, negative 2, negative 1, 0, and 1. Now our range, and this is very important. Whenever a number repeats, you only write it once. So you shouldn't have 5 5s here. It should 5 negative 5s. It should just be 1 negative 5. Now here your domain. We look here at our x values. The first is x values to the left, which is negative 3. Then we will have 0. We have 1. And then we will have 5. Now your range It's all of your y values here. Your lowest y value is -4. The next lowest is -2. And the next lowest would be +2.